Well, welcome everyone. It's great to see a full theater here today. It's just a unique opportunity that we have to come together as a campus and a community. As president of the college, this is one of my most special moments each year because it is really a unique chance to be together, to celebrate what we accomplished, to look to the future. And I want to highlight, not only do we have hundreds of people in this room, we have hundreds of people on the live stream joining us today, Facebook Live and other live streams. So we've really expanded to this virtual presence so we could expand our community and bring more folks in to hear what we've done and where we're heading. So I'm going to give you a little bit of roadmap for the day. We're going to talk about some of our past accomplishments. We're going to look to the future and explore some of our future goals. Of course, we're going to tell some excellent student stories. And I have a couple surprises up my sleeve, so you'll hear more about that later. I can't believe it's been a year since last time I was here. It feels like it's been about 7 years, but I think when you're a president, you're living dog years. But as you'll see, we've done so much. And by we, I mean everyone in this room, because it's not just the faculty and staff of this campus that make it possible, but it's our many community partners that are here today, our foundation board, board of trustees, our donors, our business and industry partners. All of you that are here with us today share in this success. So let me start with the title of this presentation, Disrupt or Be Disrupted. So hopefully this got a few folks' attention when it showed up in your email inbox or in your mailbox. And it was intended to be thought-provoking. It was intended to get you here and say, what is this about? What is Jeff going to talk about? And it's really, I want to share some stories of disruption that's happening in our world and how we as a community college are being disrupted by state, local, and national factors. But also, we're leading positive disruptions and innovations for our students. So let's start with some examples. Anyone recognize one of these? Right? This is the world's last Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon. The last 3 in Alaska closed this summer, so this is the last one standing. This is a business model that's definitely been disrupted. I remember the time, Friday night, you're leaving work, you're trying to hustle over to Blockbuster to get that last new release before somebody else gets it, right? Our students are looking at me going, what's Blockbuster? But it has absolutely been disrupted. Who disrupted it? Netflix, Redbox, Amazon Prime, right? Apple TV. The world is changing all around us. I don't remember the goofy action and adventure aisle at Blockbuster, but now you could sit at your home and get access to, thousands of titles from the comfort of your sofa, right? The world is changing, and it's not just in business and industry, it's in higher education as well. Another example, seen one of these recently? Yeah, they're still around, but you know who's chasing them? A bunch of these guys with the pink mustaches, right? Lyft or Uber, all these things out of the sharing economy are disrupting these industries of the past. How about Sears, right? Used to be a cornerstone of many communities, including the community I grew up in, San Mateo. Now, this is the more consistent sign that you see. Stores closing, big boxes closing. What's disrupting them? Amazon, right? Things like Amazon, where you can get everything from A to Z. Amazon started as a humble book exchange company. Now they're the second company just on September 4th to hit $1 trillion in valuation, right? Amazing growth. So this is a question for us. As we look to the future, as there's disruptive factors all around us with technology and the world, and our local economy, and our state policy, and so on and so forth, who do we want to be? Do we want to be Netflix, Lyft, or Amazon? Or do we want to be Blockbuster, Yellow Cab, or Sears, or Kmart? Who do you want to be? I want to be on this left side, right? I want to be part of that future. But in order to do that, we're going to have to evolve. Let me share another story that really brings this home. I titled this story, Strangers, the Internet, and Your Mom. Where's this going, right? So when I was a kid, my mom, hopefully she's watching, I bet she's out there, my mom used to say, don't talk to strangers, right? All our moms said that, and whatever you do, never get in a stranger's vehicle, right? Then the next generation of kids, some of our students, your mom probably told you, don't ever meet a stranger on the internet, and definitely don't ever meet them in person. But now, as the world considers, so that's our old paradigm, right? But as the world continues to be disrupted, it's totally been flipped on its head. Now you use the internet to summon a stranger to pick you up so you could get in their car. But think about that, right? Think about how comfortable we are all with doing this today and how strange and out of place this would have been, a decade ago, right? The world is changing and we must change too. So let's get a little more specific. What is disrupting us here at Lake Tahoe Community College? Let me assure you, there are lots of things, and these are some of the things that keep me up at night, worrying about our future and how are we going to respond to them. There's increased accountability, for sure. The bar is set even higher than ever before by the state and federal government and other groups that monitor us. This is reflected in changing state funding formulas. Even here in California, you'll hear more about that. It's really going to change how we need to do our business. There's decreased enrollment nationally to the tune of more than 1.5 million students, which creates increased competition for colleges to serve that limited student body. Our students have even greater economic challenges than ever before, right? The costs of books and access codes, foregone wages, all these things that they need support with to get over the hump so they could succeed and complete school. The changing nature of our work. Pat, you were here 29 years ago, right? Jean, Roberta, Fritz, this college looks nothing like it did. Think about the technology that we need to have now, right? Think about the requirements for data integrity. Think about the requirements for accountability. Think about our students. They're very different, and we must be different too. They're discerning consumers. They expect to have things at their fingertips. They want to know what value is in it for them, right? The world is changing. These kind of apply to all community colleges, but let's talk about a few things that are impacting us here locally. Housing crisis. Anyone feeling this pinch? Right? We have these disruptive factors of VRBO and Airbnb. It is totally changing the landscape of our South Shore community. I know many of you have spoken to me personally, have been impacted as employees. I know our students have been impacted. I talked with an international student that had to move 3 times last year as her rentals kept getting converted to vacation home rentals. So we have a local disruption of the housing market. There's a national policy debate that's definitely disrupting us, right? There's this national policy debate about dreamers and immigration. This is impacting our students that come to this school. Many of them are concerned about coming to college, about filling out paperwork. We're also seeing this with our international students, right? International students are choosing the United Kingdom or Canada over the US more as there's this national policy debate. So we are not insular to these disruptions. Things that happen locally, at the nation, and also at the state level impact us day in and day out. So this is a major disruption, and this really came out of nowhere in the last 9 months, and it is going to totally change our funding and how we are funded in the future, which will change what we're able to do. So in the past, we've been funded based on the number of our full-time equivalent students, right? It's been, simply put, a butts and seats model. How many students do you have in your campus at census state? Well, the state came in and said, that's not getting us the results we want. So starting next year, only 70% of your funding is going to be based on the number of students that you have in your previous base allocation to open your doors. And we're going to add some new factors. We're going to add 20% through a supplemental allocation, which is also known as an equity allocation, based on the number of traditionally underserved, low socioeconomic students you're serving. How are you doing at reaching out to your students who need you most, getting them in through financial aid, and getting them on your campus? And then we're going to do 10% based on student success. What are your outcomes? What's your performance? Are your students getting associate degrees? Are they getting career technical education certificates? Are they transferring to 4 years? We are going to hold you accountable for that, and we're going to fund you accordingly. But guess what? It changes again. Next year, that base shrinks even further and more performance-based funding. The year after that, we're all the way up to 20% of our funding is going to be directly tied to the outcomes we deliver for our students. So I would tell you, this is a financial imperative for us to ensure that we do better for our students and community. But beyond that, and more importantly, it's a moral imperative for us to ensure that we're helping our students complete and transfer and get good labor market value at their time here at LTCC. So here's a little bit on the details of the funding formula. Rusty could give you a whole presentation on this. I'll hit a few highlights. The bottom line is that 20% of funding is going to be based on a number of points that we get. How many associate degrees for transfers are we giving? How many certificates? Are people getting an increase of a living wage? Are they transferring to a 4-year university, right? Getting them in class is no longer enough. We are being significantly disrupted here. One thing that is on here is successful transfer to a 4-year university. That's a disruption that we're well prepared for because we just opened the Lisa Maloff University Center, and we could literally walk our students across campus and help them get a transfer to a four-year university. Additionally, there's these premiums. Is the student a Promise Grant eligible, Pell Grant eligible? Are we identifying these students who are of lower socioeconomic status and getting them through our programs? I made some changes to the financial aid director position this year. I know a few folks questioned that. Hopefully now you understand the why behind it. That is going to become one of the most important positions on our campus as we look at reaching out and bringing in these students that have been traditionally underserved and making sure they're getting the financial aid and access to the Promise Grant and other services that are available to them. Let's talk a little bit about the associate degree for transfer. You'll notice the state's put it at the top of the list. Why is that? Because it's the golden ticket of today, right? It's the thing that students take out of here that will give them a more seamless transfer to a CSU and now one of the 36 private universities, right? As well as a guaranteed seat, not necessarily their preferred CSU, but at one CSU in the system. This is the thing that we produce as the highest value for our students. And we need to emphasize this and help direct our students to this, and believe me, the state's going to hold us accountable. Here's a little infographic that kind of explains it from the state. Now it's a little oversimplified, I get it. You start here, LTCC, you get a transfer here, CSU or one of these 36 privates. You get that degree, a degree with a guarantee, and you got your dream future that comes with a palm tree and a big pile of money on your side yard. I need to go back and get this degree. But no, in all seriousness, this is a high value option for our students. The good news is we've made great progress. We offer 14 different associate degrees for transfer, and look at our numbers. We've increased going back to 12-13 to 17-18. But we could do better. We need to help our students find these. We need to direct it to them because this is something, when they have this in our hand, it's going to make them on a much better prepared for their next step to move on to a CSU or one of these universities. What else is happening in Sacramento, right? Sacramento's disrupting us all the time. They're whipping up policy very quickly, often with good intentions, but often filled with unintended consequences. Assembly Bill 705, this is coming and we must respond. It is going to disrupt us and we need to do things differently. The goals of this bill is to increase the number of students placed in and completing transfer level English and math in 1 year, right? Very noble goal. But as such, we're going to have to change our systems. It's going to require us to look at high school performance data for placement. What's their GPA? What's their highest performance in their last math or English class? And it's going to hold us accountable for where we place these students. And so we need to do right by these students. But we can't just place them into a transfer level course without any additional support. As such, we're going to have to change our systems. We need to make sure we're preparing students. We need to make sure we're supporting students. We need to make sure that we're providing pathway options for these students. There are all kinds of strategies that colleges up and down the state are doing, from embedded tutoring to maybe online support components, things like our very successful math and English boot camps, which we need to continue to do and expand, using co-requisites, learning communities that can make a difference for these students. So we're not just pushing them into the deep end of transfer level math and English and saying, go ahead, you're on your own. We need to wrap our support around them and respond to this on behalf of our students, because we can't hide under a rock from this anymore. This is where we're going to be held accountable from the state. All right, I'm going to bring in a few little speakers throughout the presentation here, because these are some of the voices that are in my head. That doesn't sound very good, but I often listen to leadership speakers and TED Talks and so on and so forth, and these are some of the things that influence me. So I want to share this one with you, and if there's a few folks on the side, feel free to kind of slip on in. Let's watch.
And I found, similar to John Hagel's talk, who's a good friend and colleague, that when you try and do disruptive innovation in a big company, the immune system of the company will come and attack you. Right? All of our organizations are built to withstand change and withstand risk. And now we're seeing that is actually the high order driver to what we're seeing. I spent 10 years here in Europe restructuring large European companies, but large French companies do not like to be restructured, which is why I'm bold. I think this is a thing. Okay.
So his comment about the immune system of the organization attacks change, right? This is seen in organizations from higher education to Fortune 500. And let me tell you what, I don't want to be this guy. So I'm pleading to all of you to assist me and kind of come together, and we could do this together. Look at how unhappy he is. He is not happy about that hair. All right. There's an app for that. So there's some strategies we could do to better prepare ourselves for change, right? And I want to talk about one or two of these because we are all change managers. We are all change participants. And the better prepared you are for change and the better you understand the process of change, the easier it is. And I also want to create a little common vernacular here on our campus and community. So the first change concept I wanted to introduce is the idea of the implementation dip. This is one of my single most favorite concepts in organizational development. So what happens in the implementation dip is you introduce a new concept, and typically you have a little bit of a dip before you get to that new desired performance level. And your goal as the leader is to reduce the length of the dip and reduce how long it goes and how deep it goes, right? But anytime you try something new, you need to expect that there are going to be hurdles. Nothing is seamless. I think folks have heard me say that before. Nothing is seamless. The myth is you get this big shiny star of change introduced and immediately you're on your way. But no, that is not the case. But the good news is when you understand that the implementation dip is a real thing and it's involved in every day-to-day change, when you're in the dip, you could see out of it. You know you're just in the dip. It's a lot more comfortable place to be. You know you're in the dip and you say, how do I shorten the dip? How do I make sure it's not as deep? How do I get us out of here so we could get here, right? So as you know, as you go into this dip, it helps you see to your future that there's a positive future out there. I want to also talk about paradigm shifts, but no one does it better than Dick Fosbury. Let's see his story.
The 1968 Olympic Games proved to be a turning point in the history of the high jump event. Into the Mexico City Olympic arena came not only a new name to the sport, but a new approach, which was to revolutionize the high jump event. Dick Fosbury from the United States demonstrated a new style of high jump, which some considered strange and awkward. It was a jump he had devised in the previous years, and one which unsettled his opponents. While the crowd at first saw him as a novelty, his continued success at clearing the ever-increasing height soon made it apparent he was a serious contender. Valentin Gavrilov from the Soviet Union failed at his attempt of 2.22 meters, while Fosbury and his US teammate Edward Carruthers cleared their way to a jump-off. The bar sat at 2.24. Carruthers failed, and Fosbury took his new style of high jump over the bar and into the history books. Fosbury had won his gold. Within a few years, the Fosbury flop had become the standard method of jumping in this great Olympic sport.
You see those guys jumping forward over the bar, right? Chest first. That looks so strange to us now, right? If you saw somebody doing that out of the track, wouldn't you think that was so strange? But that was the status quo, right? And that's the beauty of recognizing a paradigm shift. The status quo seems familiar. It's comfortable. He was good at it, right? You think this happened when he started the Fosbury flop? No, he had a huge implementation dip, right? This guy was an Olympic high jumper, right? But it took time. He stayed committed to his change, and he totally changed the sport, right? That's what a paradigm shift looks like. How do we look at what we're doing and think about doing something totally different for the benefit of our students and community? The good news is we've been disrupting too. I've shared that it's disrupt or be disrupted. What it really is disrupt and be disrupted, right? We've been disrupted by a lot of things around us, but we are doing some disruption, and I'm very proud of LTCC for that. So let's hear what we're up to. The first disruption we did is a combined schedule that we launched here for summer and fall of 2018. Doesn't sound like much, right? We just combined a schedule. But what we really did is we allowed our students to plan ahead for their fall childcare needs, for their work needs. We were able to capture high school students when they were still in high school so they could get registered last May, capture our LTCC students in June before they left campus, right? It's totally changing the way we do things to better serve our students so they can plan ahead. It was difficult. It was hard work. I know this was impactful on enrollment services, our counselors who have been counseling students all summer, our scheduling, our instruction office, our technology office, up and down, our faculty, deans, this impacted all of you. I realize that. But I think at the end of the day, we're pretty happy with the result, right? And it's only been 1 year. We've had maybe a few hurdles, but we're getting there. Students are planning ahead. We were this summer, weeks ago, the deans were actually adding sections because they knew we had demand in certain areas. Like, we need to add sections. We actually have more than a few days to go find an adjunct faculty member to bring in on that section, right? We were talking in kind of mid to late August. We're in a meeting and we're saying, somebody said, wouldn't it be crazy? This is the week we would be starting registration. And we all looked around the room and said, that would be crazy. It was crazy. We didn't know because it was the status quo. It's nothing, this is nothing against the past, it's just how we did things. But we made a total paradigm shift on behalf of our students. That is how you disrupt, that's how LTCCC has been disrupting. So thank you to all of you for leading that and making that happen. All right, another disruption. We got 4-year degrees here at Lake Tahoe Community College. What about that? That's our very own Melanie Chu. This is a photo. I had the opportunity to visit her class last night with Brandman University. These students are working on a bachelor's degree here on our campus, right? That's another disruption. We're going to bring higher education and advanced degree, additional higher education and advanced degrees to our community. More on that later. Open educational resources. This has been a major positive disruption, right? This fall, we have 47 sections that have 0 textbook costs that previously had textbook costs associated with them. And think about our students. Over the last 2 years through this initiative, they've saved more than $362,000. Think about that, $362,000. More than 2,000 students were impacted by this, more than 120 sections of courses, right? This is serious disruption under the leadership of our faculty member, Larry Green. We are taking on, we are disrupting. You know who's feeling disrupted right now? Pearson and my math lab. They're going, holy moly, Lake Tahoe Community College is disrupting us, right? Disrupt or be disrupted. What about bus passes, right? Has that been good? Woo! Our advanced program partnered with Tahoe Transportation District to bring us bus passes for the first time last year. We looked at the stats. Students were using them on an average 350 rides per week. So pretty significant to come and go to campus. We've re-upped for 2018-19. Thank you to Advance. Right. But it doesn't stop there. We're going to continue to disrupt. This mobility hub, in partnership with Liberty Utilities and Tahoe Transportation District and our college, is going to begin construction this fall. Right now, a bus comes out to campus about every 2 hours. Once this gets launched, we're going to have 3 drop-offs and pickups per hour. We are putting ourselves in the center of the whole Tahoe Transportation District system. They've been great partners. You see these tops, those are going to be electric charging buses, so they're going to need to come in here every night to charge. They're going to have to come in here multiple times throughout the day. So when you put yourself in the center of the system, you're going to get more service, and we truly are going to become the hub of this community. This is an extension of a Measure F project. I want to recognize Al Frangione, who's been tireless working with TTD. Working with our partners at TTD to keep growing the resources that TTD and Liberty Utilities are bringing to the table to bring this serious disruption. We will be the center of this community in no time. We're already on our way. This is going to disrupt things for the better. All right, those are a few examples. There's a lot more that I'll cover when we go through our goals, but I just want to recognize that when you're doing disruption, and especially when you're moving fast, sometimes it feels like you're building the airplane while flying it. And I'm sure we could all empathize with these guys.
Some people like to climb mountains. I like to build planes in the air.
I grew up wanting to be on a wing, wanting to be up this high.
Sometimes the temperature up at altitude will reach 60 below. It's brisk, it's refreshing.
You never know what you're going to come across up here. Canadian geese, mallards,
owls.
These people back here, that's why I come to work. That's why I build airplanes in the sky.
We're not just building a plane here. We're building a dream.
I love this job.
I get a lot of thanks up here. When I look over there and I see that little kid, the look in his eyes, that's all the thanks I need.
I love this job. So I know it's tricky, but I want to acknowledge all of you, continue to stay on it, continue to do this work as we move forward with these innovations. All right, we have a lot to celebrate here at Lake Tahoe Community College. It's been an amazing year, and I want to highlight some very special things that happened. The first thing I want to do is, if you know me well, and if you're one of my direct reports, you know that one of my core values is supporting you and your family, right? We support family here. We are a family-friendly institution. And we welcomed a lot of new friends to Coyote Country this year, and I want to formally welcome them here today. These are some of our new babies of employees. We got daughters, sons, granddaughters, grandsons. If you have a new arrival on the way, I know, Amber, where are you at? I know you got one coming. Please make sure the President's office knows, because we want to include you in this as we welcome all these new potential future students, new students. Well, we'll get them in the CDC, TPNS maybe, a little dual enrollment. They'll be here in no time. All right, another celebration I'd like to do is celebrating some of our new faculty and staff. So we're going to have, at lunch today, we're going to recognize some employee milestones. We're going to introduce all our new faculty and staff members. So please join me for that important recognition. Introducing Clinton Culp and John J.D. Dirk. Welcome to the team. You'll get to hear more about them today at lunch, but we're thrilled to have them, and we did national searches for both of them, and they are definitely top picks here at Lake Tahoe Community College. All right, some more stuff to celebrate. I want to talk about the progress that's happened on this campus due to Measure F. The tagline was to maintain and modernize LTCC, and it has done just that. So let me tell you something that's on its way that we're very excited about. We have retrofitting of 3 classrooms that are listed up there that will be launched and ready for use by our faculty and our students this January. The nice thing about these classrooms is that they're each a little different, so they're designed prototypically so we can pilot some new concepts of technology and furniture and layout, and then get your feedback, students, and your feedback, faculty, on how you like these classrooms before we go on and retrofit additional classrooms on this campus. They'll have many of the things, if you've been in the University Center and you got a tour of that, such as an interactive whiteboard and document cameras and flexible furniture. You'll see a lot of that same stuff in these 3 classrooms. Let's take a little closer look at A208. So as we head into A208, right, if you know that classroom right now, it's kind of a long rectangle. Notice how the furniture is kind of stair-step, different sides, so the students will have a more unobstructed view of the faculty member in the front. The furniture also won't be bolted to the ground like the current furniture, so there's greater flexibility on how to use a space. It doesn't take a lot to disrupt that classroom. But that kind of gives you a sense. So that's one thing that's on its way this January. Let's take a peek at A250. So we're exploring some different classroom furniture in A250. This classroom furniture was originally designed by a group, IDEO, which is a design thinking group out of the Palo Alto area. They invented the mouse. You may use that sometimes. But the beauty of this furniture, so we have, desks, right? So if you need to have kind of traditional lecture style for desks or test taking, but they quickly spin around if you want to get the classroom in a circle, or you want to get in collaboration or small groups, right? So again, this is another type of innovation that we're bringing to classrooms that's being used at many other colleges throughout the state. Going to be real excited to hear what you have to say about it. So the next thing is we made a lot of progress on wireless improvements last year. Talked about that, about really flooding the campus. I was out on the grass fields the other day coaching a soccer practice, and my Wi-Fi was still working for campus. I was thinking, wow, we have great Wi-Fi at this campus. But we do know that cell phone service has been difficult for us on this campus, especially inside. You may have seen this guy on campus. You looked a little closer, right, going around campus. Can you hear me now? So we've added boosters, cell phone boosters to the commons, the core office spaces, now with the University Center as well, and we have the library area coming in 2019, so that way you can be connected to all your devices here while you're on campus and catch those important phone calls. One of my favorite projects on campus is the LTCC Commons. This is really the heart of our campus, right? It's where students come and go to engage. We have beautifully arranged furniture with many different options for students to sit in. There's a display wall to send information to students. And so this is a great photo, right? But we want to see a better photo? This is just yesterday. This is yesterday. School has not even started, and look how many students are using that space, right? Using the space, meeting. I see them out there meeting with faculty and staff. Steve Richardson, I think he's a faculty member I see meet with more students out there. Amber, I see you meeting out there with students, right? It's a great opportunity to come and sit down with students and engage with them. They're out there doing work. Sometimes I'll be leaving late at night and I see students there. I'm like, you guys were here this morning. And they're like, yeah, I'm just getting my homework done. So this has really transformed our community. And so I want to celebrate everything that happened with Measure F and celebrate all of you, especially I know many of the folks in this room help make it possible through donations and rocking the vote and so on and so forth. So thank you for your help. It is transforming this campus and we are clearly maintaining and modernizing LTCC. Thank you. All right, a year ago today or so, we were together in this room and we identified a very ambitious set of goals for this college. And we said that we're going to show the world that we are small but mighty. And we did that. And I believe we did that beyond my wildest expectations in terms of what we accomplished in this last year with this small college. So hopefully when you came in the door, you got this progress update document. I'm not going to hit every detail in the document. You have it there for your disposal. There's also an online version of it because there's a lot of links in it if you want to kind of go deeper and find greater information. But this really gives you a sense of all the things that we accomplished together. And by we, I mean everyone in this room and everyone that you represent, because it's not just our staff and faculty, it's our business partners, it's our foundation, it's our board. It's all of you that made this possible. So we had a long list of goals. It was a big one. Let's see how we did. Goal 1, reaffirm accreditation. Knock that one out of the park, right? So we got our full 7-year reaffirmation, and the thing that was a powerful moment was at our report out. I want you to listen very closely. This is Mike Clare, who was the accreditation chair, and he was also the president of San Mateo Community College, which is a highly respected college in the state. And listen to the end, what he said about LTCC. Please listen closely.
What I want to tell you personally, and I told Jeff this the other day, so I have 3 children, they're all grown, my wife and I, and we made the decision that all 3 of our children were going to go to college at San Mateo, which is my college, okay? And as a parent, we both made that decision, my wife and I, one, because we tried to save a little money, I'll admit that, but secondly, because in my heart of hearts, my very fiber, I knew that they were going to get a great education at my college. I believed in the faculty and the staff so strongly that I would send my own kids. So I'm going to tell you, I feel the same way about your institution. You guys do a great job.
I don't believe there's any better compliment a college could get than from a parent saying, I want to send my students to your college. And I hope many of you in this room will consider that for your own children. So it was a big year. Very excited about how that worked out. And it seems like lifetimes ago, right, when we were in this theater for that October report out. The second goal was about removing student barriers to access, success, and completion. Well, to be clear, we haven't removed them all, but we've made great progress. You saw that with what we're doing with open educational resources. Carrie talked about Lake Tahoe College Promise. We've expanded things such as the food pantry to help serve some of our neediest students in obtaining their most basic needs of food and toiletries, right? We are removing barriers of access by supporting these students. We've expanded our offerings in the library and learning services. We have increased hours, lending library, good tutoring. These are all things that help our students. We have a program that is changing lives here on this campus, our incarcerated student program. We have students that are able to engage in this and find meaning in their life, find something that their family members could be proud in them about. This was a student, Erin Betzer, who was an incarcerated student program, now a formerly incarcerated student program. She was on campus this fall getting her certificate for the President's Honor Roll because she got a 4.0 during her time working on her associate's degree for transfer in sociology. And in this photo, you see a lot of the people that helped support her, and you see her parents. And those of you that were there, her parents were just beaming, right? And she was just beaming. It was a really special moment, and we have changed her life. She's now applying to CSUs and furthering her education. It's going to be a productive, contributing member of this community. We are breaking down barriers to access inside Lake Tahoe and throughout the state of California and beyond. Right there, holding a little puppy. Thank you. All right, improved student recruitment and marketing efforts. Again, I'm going to just kind of hit the high points because there's so much content in your document. But we did a lot to increase our digital advertising, search engine optimization, all these things to help bring more students and make them aware of our campus. We also did a lot of great outreach. Many of you folks worked on this senior day, right? So we're able to bring seniors to campus for the first time in May when they could walk out with the schedule. They had their FAFSA completed, they had their application completed, and we had, I think, 40 students leave that day with a schedule in their hand, right? That is pretty amazing. That's how you do disruptive changes to benefit your students and community. So how many students are we serving? What's our unduplicated head count typically? Anyone know? About 6,000, right? We've been about at 6,000 students, I think, for as long as I've been on this campus. Well, let me show you what happened last year. We served about, I was shocked when I saw this graph the other day. We served about 7,200 students last year, and those aren't all on campus. Those are online, face-to-face, our public safety training partnerships, our incarcerated student program. And what was interesting is every area that we offer grew, even face-to-face. We grew face-to-face by 4% last year. Think about that. We haven't grown face-to-face in the last 6 years. We've been declining. I mean, online was remarkable, 33%. I think world languages had most of those students. I mean, it was amazing what we did to better serve more students in this community. So those marketing efforts, those outreach efforts, and all of your efforts, they're working. Launching the University Center, right? If you had breakfast on the courtyard today, you know it's happening. It's launched. We broke ground in June of 17, and now here in August of 18, we are cutting a ribbon. I mean, it's pretty amazing progress. Let's take a look. Right? And this is what we have as the final element. So anyone who's dealt with building in Tahoe knows how difficult it is to deliver a project on time. But in January of 2015, we said we were going to open the doors to this facility in August of 2018, and we delivered on it. We weren't a day late. We had students, Sierra Nevada College students, and now Brandman University students able to take advantage of classes this fall in 18 as promised. If you take a peek inside the center, we have great classrooms with collaboration space, amazing technology. Look at these students using this huddle space so they're able to work in groups, do virtual connections to faculty that may be off-site. But more importantly than the facility are the partners that are within it and how they're serving our students. So our 3 partners, Sierra Nevada College, who was our inaugural partner, who really came in and was the first adapter and said, yeah, we want to be a part of this. Bringing on Brandman University last spring, and now Washington State this fall. So we've talked about SNC. I want to say one thing about Brandman is, think about this. A few years ago, you could only get an associate's degree in the South Shore. Starting this year, you're going to be able to get all the way up to a master's degree here in the South Shore. That is how you disrupt. And of course, a BA in hospitality management from Washington State, which, let me tell you, they are a top 5 hospitality management program in the nation. Getting a BA from them is a golden ticket in the hospitality industry, and this is going to better serve our community and our industry partners in what is one of our biggest industries here in this community. So we are off to a great start. There's more work to do, but I think we're working our way out of that implementation dip, and there is great opportunity on the horizon. Develop better institutionalized strategic planning. There's some details on this in your document. I won't bore you with all the wonky details, but I will point out that we completed our educational master plan last year. This provides not only a look back at our past and how we've done, but a guide to our future. Where are we going? What are our priorities? And we'll start with this first and foremost in our decision-making process. A few more goals. Expand student housing options. I would say this is probably the most ambitious goal we had last year, and there was a lot of ambitious goals on there. And we did a lot of work on this. We had a big up to bat. We put out a request for information looking for development partners. And they kind of came back, and a third of them said, you know what, your project's too small. A third of them said, there's too much cost volatility in the state of California and Tahoe right now. We're not interested. Come back to us later. And a third came back and said, we want to work with you, but we want to propose a different project. So we went up to bat. We struck out. But you know what you do when you strike out? You go back up to bat. And so we're going to go back up to bat again this year. We're going to look at master leases. We're going to look at renovating an existing space. We're going to talk to those developers that express some interest and keep pushing this boulder up the hill. This will be one of the most challenging things that we ever do as a community college, but I believe that it's critically important to our future, and you'll hear more about that when we talk about next year's goals. Fundraise to support college vision, mission, and strategic initiatives. We have so many of our foundation board members here today, so many of our donors, so many of our staff and faculty that donate to our causes, and we had a record-breaking year. We gave out more scholarships than ever before, $128,000 worth, right? And these students aptly put it, thank you donors, thank you for making this possible. We grossed more money at this summer's Taste of Gold event that will support student scholarships and student success programs here on our campus. And we had a project for the Coyote Legacy Plaza, and I want to share with you a quick video that tells you a little bit about the why of this project. So we are here for the unveiling of the Coyote Legacy Plaza, which is a great spot to recognize some of our most important donors, and it's going to have a centerpiece behind this black veil of a pouncing coyote statue, which is of course our mascot and a big point of campus pride at LTCC.
Thanks to the generosity of many community members, businesses, and individuals who donated to have an engraved paver installed in the ground around the coyote, we raised over $60,000 to get the coyote here. We've actually raised $75,000 with this campaign, and that additional $15,000 will go to support students and programs.
I think it only helps our campus and our community because it gives us another focal point and a rallying point. Now people will say, hey, I'll meet you over at the Coyote Plaza, and it's just another venue where people can identify with.
So the why behind this is about creating a sense of place on the Lake Tahoe Community College campus, bringing public art and school pride through this coyote. And this is a great place for students to visit, whether they're coming to campus for the first time on a tour or they're graduating after years on this campus to have their photo taken by this LTCC coyote and have this connection to our campus and pride in our community. So what do you guys think of that project? Pretty cool, right? I think my favorite paver out there is this one. LTCC is the heart of South Lake Tahoe, right? I think very, very aptly put. And again, this wasn't just about raising money for this sculpture. We're now, as all the additional proceeds are going to the foundation, which are supporting scholarships and student success grants. And really, to me, when this coyote statue really shined was on graduation day. Look at these proud graduates. If you look at Instagram and look at the LTCC grad hashtag, you'll see all these proud graduates having their photo taken with this iconic image of Lake Tahoe Community College. Simply amazing. Final goal that we set last year had to do with guided pathways. For those of you that have never heard of that, I'll talk more about the details of it in the future. But last year was really about doing this self-assessment and submitting to the state to access some funding, which we did. We checked that box, and we're now prepared to move to the first step of the implementation phase. More on that later. All right, so we got a lot of great things to celebrate here at LTCC, right? It's an amazing set of accomplishments. You all helped do that. I do want to share, though, I believe this is a really, really good college. But I believe we could be a great college. I believe we could be a top 1% college in the nation. We could be one of these Aspen Prize finalists that does amazing transformative things for all its students. But we're not there yet. So I want to share with you a few data points that I look at when I think about, hey, we're serving students, but how can we do better? And I like to think of these. These are some of the tough facts when you look at the data. I'll introduce two concepts, this idea of lagging indicators, right? So these are things that are backward looking, they're very important, things like graduation rates and transfer rates, but that's the last 6-year cohort, right? It's hard. They're very important to celebrate, but they don't really predict the future. They don't tell you how you're doing today. And then there's the opposite, which are leading indicators. These are formative data, they're new, they're predictive, and they tell us if students are doing these right now, they have a high correlation with success. Examples are completion of 45 units within the first year. You're going to have a high chance to complete and complete on time. attainment of college level English and math in that first year, and have a high chance of completing on time, right? So these are some leading indicators that we could watch to see how we're doing right now for the students we have on campus. One data point that's in front of me often is the fall-to-fall persistence. So how many of our degree-seeking students who start in fall come back the next fall, make it all the way through the academic year? And for a long time, it's hovered at about 30%. And for those 30%, you know those students. They are great students. We have changed their life. We have served them well. But the question I have is, where are those other 70% of students? How did we let them down? Did they not have the financial support they needed to get here? Did they not have the guidance to choose the right degree? Was there something that happened in their life? Did they need us to reach out to them and bring them back into this campus? How can we serve them better? A leading indicator that is worth watching is this idea of related to persistence, is how many units you complete in that first year. Lake Tahoe College Promise is focused on a minimum of 12 quarter units, so 36 a year. So you'll see these students that complete about 36 units or more per year, they persist the next fall from about 60-70%. Pretty high persistence rate, right? But this group of students that completes less than 36 units in that first year, they only persist to fall at a 15 to 20% persistence rate. This isn't just our data. This is the national data. This is the statewide data. Students that have the support to take more classes and the appropriate classes to move them along on their path persist, they stay on the track, and they complete. And so we're doing good work, but we can do better. And it's none of our faults, right? This is just how the community college system was built. These are challenges that everyone's facing up and down the state. I appreciate this quote from Deming, his work. Every system is perfectly designed to get the results it gets. So the way we're designed, the way we're doing things, the hurdles students have is getting us those results. I want better results. I'm sure all of you want better results. Our students deserve better results. Would you agree? Yes. And we could do it. And we could do it. And there's some important work that's happening in that way. So I want to talk a little bit about the evolution of community college. And this is a national trend, kind of a national disruptor. Community College 1.0 was really about access. It was about get students into college. That was your mission. And it evolved to 2.0, get students in, but help make sure they complete. But guess what? The bar is set even higher. We are living in a community college 3.0 era, which is get them in, help them complete, and ensure they have post-college success. They have labor market value. They get the job of their dreams. They transfer to a four-year institution and get a bachelor's degree. That is what we're going to be held accountable for. And really, that's the dream. Getting them in here isn't enough. I met a student of ours this summer, actually in Maui, tourist town, right? Very similar to ours. She had an AA from our campus, and she was working at the front desk selling snorkel equipment at Boss Frogs. And I had a chat with her, and she loved her time in Lake Tahoe, and she loved her time at LTCC, but what she shared with me is, I really wish I had went on and got that bachelor's degree, because I've been passed up time and time again because I didn't have the appropriate degree to get on to the next step. So we need to see associate's degree is not the end of the road for our students. We need to help continue to support them and help them get to that next step, either in the labor market or at a four-year institution. But we're well positioned to do that, right? Especially with the University Center. We need to build these pathways with post-graduation in mind if we have a community college 3.0 campus. We need to engage four-year universities, as we're doing with great articulation agreements, associate degrees for transfers, and the University Center. We need to engage our employers in defining what they need. They've done that through our advanced partnership and our different industry partners. And this last one, and this is most important, and not one of us could do this alone, we have to do it together. We have to reorient our campus and community culture that includes post-completion outcomes as part of our work. It's not simply enough to hand them a degree, push them across the stage, and say, see you later. We need to deliver them to that job. We need to deliver them to that four-year university. Are you guys willing to take that trip with me and reorient our culture on behalf of the students? Glad to hear it. All right, I want to share a little bit of a lighter story, because I know sometimes the taste to change is challenging, right? And sometimes when something's different, you don't like it at first. So I want to share kind of a personal story that I experienced last spring that's been on my mind. But I think it's a simple story, but I think it provides a good metaphor. Healthy gums. Anyone seen this mouthwash? Anyone use this mouthwash? Okay, a few folks of you know it. So my wife bought this. My wife Casey, she's here in the front row. And it was kind of sitting on the bathroom counter, and I came in, I looked at it, and I was like, oh, cool, that looks healthy for you. I'll give that a try. And then I poured it, and I was like, it looks like seaweed. What's in this thing? It's like 20% aloe. And it looked different. And I kind of decided in the moment, it's like, oh, that's different. That's a change. I don't think I want that. I'm not going to like that, right? So I already kind of made up my mind, and I took a taste, and what was my reaction? This. I looked like this guy. I was like, oh gosh, that's terrible. Spit it out. And so it just sat there on the bathroom counter, and I kept thinking, oh, I got to run by Rite Aid and pick up, and I want to get back to my bright fluorescent blue Crest stuff, right? Got to get by Rite Aid. And it just sat there on the counter, and it was kind of staring at me. And if you know me well, you know that my family all came from Depression-era immigrants, and we don't waste things in our family. You finish your plate, you work out the pantry, you finish everything. Like, you should see my toothpaste bottle. It's all the way down to the last, half a pea-sized thing. It's crazy. My wife's laughing because she knows it's true. So I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a try again because I don't want it to go to waste. And I tried it again, and I still didn't like it. And I kept using it because it was good for me. And then something happened. And I can't remember the day it happened. All of a sudden, I decided, I like this. In fact, I love it. I bought a 3-pack on Amazon the other day. True story. I bought a 3-pack on Amazon. I had this in the office that I was telling all the staff, like, you guys got to try this. This stuff's amazing. Right? I had decided that this was different and I wasn't going to like it. And I didn't like it. And somehow, I worked myself through that implementation dip and discovered that not only do I love this, it's good for me. And it makes me feel good. Like, I'm running out of the house. So let me get some of that mouthwash. Now I'm feeling good. Woo, let's go. So it's a simple metaphor. I probably should be a brand ambassador for these guys. I'm not. It's a simple metaphor. But again, sometimes the taste of change could be scary. Sometimes it could be different. But sometimes you'll find that you don't only like it, but you love it and it's good for you. So find whatever your natural dentist is in work and in life and take a change. All right, so, there it is again. Right, not at first. Okay, so I want to talk about another phenomenon that I've noticed on campus since I've been president. And it's something that I often hear, and this phenomenon is, I refer to it as Jeff said. Has anyone ever heard that? Has anyone ever heard it starts with Jeff said? Yes, it's funny. So what's interesting is I'll give you kind of a for example of how this plays out. So I was in the Commons last year, and an employee who came from this individual's department, and she said to me, like, hey, we have this issue, but here's how we're going to solve it. And I was just like, oh, yeah, nice job. Way to go. And I kind of gave her the thumbs up, like, okay, you're managing your area. You're empowered to do what you want to do. Then what came to mind what came to my ear over the next month was, we heard you said that we will do this. I mean, I said, nice job, right? Jeff said this is an edict. It will only be this way. And so I know I have to be careful about what comes out of my mouth. But what I find is often I'll give somebody a pat on the back, or I say, yeah, we should consider that, or hey, will you look at this? And all of a sudden around campus, it's like, Jeff said. And so I want to give you a full invitation. Whenever you hear Jeff said, come find me. Find out if I really said it. If I said it, I'm happy to say I said it, and I'll tell you why I said it. If you're uncomfortable coming and talk to me, come talk to Lisa or somebody else in the office. They're pretty informed. They'll be happy to share with you, right? Because Jeff said is not simply enough. I want you to understand the why behind it. As such, you know that one of my core values when I talked last year is this concept of leaders develop leaders. So our entire President's Advisory Council, all our managers and leaders on campus are reading this book in common right now, Start With Why. And it's about making sure every time you try and lead something, lead a change, work with employees, work with people, you start at the center and work your way out. So you don't start with all the what and the details, but the why. Why are we doing a combined schedule? So students could plan and so we could capture students earlier, right? Why are we investing in housing and supporting students with housing? Because they need it to be able to survive in our community and go to school. Why? Start with why, not what. There's a great TED Talk on it by Simon Sinek. It's the most watched TED Talk of all time. If I had 18 minutes, I'd show it right now. I don't. I want to encourage you to give it a look. But what I also want to empower you to do, especially if you're an employee on this campus, if somebody comes to you, and especially if it's one of your managers, because they know they should be starting with why, and if they say, we're doing this because, or we're doing this because Jeff said, I want you to tell them, Jeff said start with why, right? You are empowered to ask them, tell me the why. I want to know why. I want to understand why we're heading down this path. All right, I'm going to pivot here and kind of transition to our future. What are the goals that we are setting kind of in partnership with our Board of Trustees and our senior leadership team as we look to 2018-19? And I'm going to give you the high-level elements here, and then the next month or so you'll see a document similar to your Progress Tour goals that'll have a lot more detail about the strategies and the intended outcomes, and most importantly, the why of some of these goals. The first three are really about access, success, and completion. Goal 1, implement that first phase of guided pathways, right? Launching meta majors in fall of 19. Let's talk more about that. We started this work as over the last year. This was actually yesterday in the University Center. Our faculty were talking about guided pathways, looking at different meta major options. Walter was texting, but everyone else was looking at meta major options. Well, I figure you can see it, so I might just call it out. It's fantasy football, I know. It's big. I know it's September. Faculty were looking at the course catalog, looking at different programs. And again, nothing's been decided yet, but for those of you that haven't heard this concept, is instead of students coming in and looking from 30 different degrees and dozens of different certificates to try and make their decisions, they could say, do I want to do business and industry? Am I interested in STEM? Maybe it's public safety and service. These are just some examples that the faculty and the deans have been talking about to help them get on a path. They don't need to make that decision in day one, but take core classes, right, that will work and get them on the right path for a STEM type degree, whether they're going to go to math or science or physics, right? So helping students find that pathway. That's very important work. We intend to launch that meta majors or whatever we're going to call it, fields of study, for our students that start next fall of 19. What happens in a college, guided pathways college? You have greater and clearer roadmaps to career goals. We track student progress more. We assess the learning outcomes, and completion goes up. You know what goes down? Excess credits, churning, students swirling, time to degree, wasting their time, wasting their resource, right? This is what guided pathways can offer us. This will be an ongoing discussion this year on campus. The next one is strategic enrollment management. We've gotten better at managing our schedule. I think for the second term in a row this fall, we're going to have a cancellation rate that is not in double digits. For the second time in the last few years, we're down in single-digit cancellation rates because we're getting smarter with the courses we offer. But we are good. We can be great, right? We are good. We can be great. The good news is, under the leadership of Dr. Michelle Risden, she basically wrote a grant to this Institutional Effectiveness Partnership Initiative, and they selected us, along with some other colleges in the state, to be in this year-long Strategic Enrollment Management Institute. As part of this, we get to participate in some trainings that they fund. They provide us with coaches, right? Everyone needs a good coach. And what you'll see is we have individuals from counseling faculty to instructional faculty to deans to analysts to marketing to administrators and so on and so forth part of this, because it really takes a holistic 360 view to make good decisions about strategic enrollment management. Well, what does that mean, and what will that look like for our students? It means predictable course offerings, guaranteed course offerings, clear pathways to 2-year completions in degrees, right? Student comes in, if they commit to going full-time and they commit to following this path, they can complete and get their degree in 2 years, right? And our coach said to us, he said, you guys really need a metaphor. You need a way to explain this. You need a tagline. And said, your schedule should be so clear to students, and the pathway should be so clear to students that it reflects the clarity of your lake, right? This concept of Tahoe clear. Can we make it so clear for our students that they know exactly what to do if they want an intended outcome? Maybe they're part-time and they're on a 4-year plan, but they know that 4-year plan could get them out of here as long as they follow the path, and the path is clear and easy to follow. So we have work to do on that. That was one of our goals this year. All right, launch and expand a basin-wide Lake Tahoe College Promise program. So you're gonna say, hey, wait, we got Lake Tahoe College Promise. Well, we got it started, but we could do more. We need to expand it. We rolled it out this year. We have our first batch of Promise students coming in this fall, and we have many students that are funded by the Promise grant that found out about us through this Promise marketing, and that's what hooked them in. And it's a great program. It serves California residents. who are first-time, full-time, 1 year tuition free. But we have a big lake as our community, and right now it's bifurcated. You got to live on this side of the lake to be able to take advantage of this program. So with the board support and with the LTCC Foundation's support, they said, hey, we're going to break down that barrier, and starting fall of 2019, we are going to offer this first-time, full-time, tuition-free to all our students here in the Lake Tahoe Basin. And let me tell you, right now there's statewide programs, there's citywide programs, there's district-wide programs. There are no bi-state programs in the entire nation. We will be the first. We are disrupting. We are breaking down barriers. Little more on that later. Another goal that we set is we're due for a new LTCC multi-year strategic plan. Our last strategic plan served us well through our last accreditation cycle, but it's time to look to the future with the input of all of you in this room, right? We need to hear from our faculty and staff. We need to hear from our students. We need to hear from our business partners. We need to hear from our foundation board. So this will be a process. We're going to engage in a dialogue this year, not to just look ahead of what we're going to do this year, but we're going to do in the next 5 to 7 years. So you'll be look out for the invite to join, many opportunities to engage in that. Notice this goal. The goal that was the biggest goal that we had last year, that we I don't want to say we failed, but we made progress, but we didn't hit our target. We made the goal bigger, right? Are we crazy? A little bit. But we're crazy in a good way, because we know, and the board's really been a leader on this, that it's not just a student housing problem here, it's a workforce housing problem here. And we need to help meet the needs of our employees, our current employees, new employees, and the community. And we also know if we're able to combine workforce and student housing, or at least have 2 similar projects, it'll help get the development ball rolling in this community. We've been part of this Tahoe Housing Task Force. You'll notice this in the boardroom. I'm proud to say that we were actually the first organization to step up and say, yeah, we'll sponsor and partner this. I remember the meeting, it was at the Mountain Lab, and I said, we are in because housing is part of our future. And we want to try and go from this, which is in our community, that's somebody's home in our community, to this. Other ski communities have done it, other mountain communities such as Mammoth and Aspen and Park City, they have cracked this nut, and we could do it here in Lake Tahoe. And I want to put something to bed here. In addition to doing housing development, we need to serve today's students right now. I met a student in the Commons yesterday. She said, I got approved for a 3-bedroom house. How do I find roommates? Right? We need to help our students right away. And so student services is stepping up more on that. I'm going to ask them to do even more than they've done in the past. I'm going to ask all of us to do more. And I keep hearing, and I get this as a relic. I get this is how it used to be. People say, we're not in the housing business. We can't get involved with that. We can't advise students on leases. No, we don't do housing. Well, let me tell you this. We are in the face-to-face student business. And if we're in the face-to-face student business, we are now in the housing business, because they are forever intertwined in the South Shore community right now. So I'm asking for your help. It's going to take all of us. This is a huge goal. This is a big goal. I get it. But you got to push, right? We need to disrupt, and we're going to be a leader in this solution, not only for our students, but for our community. All right, one more right here about expanding development and advocacy efforts. You know, we talked about the things beyond the Tahoe Basin that disrupt us. There's a lot of those. So the first one I want to talk about is on the development side, right? Development is about raising money. So the foundation board, with my encouragement, set these 2 fundraising priorities for this year. One, let's get scholarships to help our LTCC grads go to programs in the University Center. And 2, let's expand the College Promise. We talked about that already. The good news is we set this goal, and we're already making progress. This is me receiving a $100,000 check for university scholarships for the Mallow Scholars Program. And we actually allotted our first half dozen or so scholarships in the last few days for LTCC grads and other community students to go to programs in the University Center. We've done some work, too, on raising funds for expanding Lake Tahoe College Promise to the Nevada side. Right? We got Katie Bongard, our outreach specialist. She's going to Nevada area schools this year saying, hey, Lake Tahoe College Promise includes you now. Please come to LTCC. This is our first check we received. It was from Edgewood Tahoe as part of our partnership with the foundation and the Celebrity Golf Tournament. We got an $18,000 check. Raise your hand if you volunteered at any point during that week. So All of you, you own a piece of this check. You are inaugural supporters of this Lake Tahoe College Promise. I want to thank you for your time, because the time you put in brought us this check. And I said I got a few surprises up our sleeve. Carrie, where you at? I meant to call you yesterday. But I am thrilled to announce that we found out on Tuesday of this week that we just got a $200,000 anonymous donor for Lake Tahoe College Promise to expand it basin-wide, and they want to have it be a lead gift in an endowment challenge to raise money to ensure that Lake Tahoe College Promise doesn't only exist today, but it exists well into our future. What do you say about that? You need to set a vision, and people will come behind us and support. I mean, we set this goal, just in the last few months, and we already have $300,000 toward University Center scholarships and now College Promise, or $218,000 already in the bank towards College Promise. And so this program is supposed to launch fall 19. Well, I'm not sure that we'll still be the first bi-state program in fall 19, so we're going to throw that out the door. It starts Monday. So. And I talked to A&R and Fiscal. We may have a few refund checks to give to a few Nevada Basin area students. If you know a Nevada Basin area student that's in the kind of East Shore zip code area, send them in. They'll be able to participate in this immediately. All right, statewide advocacy. It's not only locally, but at the state level, we need to be out there. We need to be pounding the pavement in Sacramento. This is me and Rusty Egan and one of our counterparts, the president of Compton College, Keith Curry. We spent a lot of time in Sacramento this last year talking to them about the funding formula and about state facilities bonds. I want you to know that the state is holding on to $9 million right now that is ours. The voters in 2016 approved a state facilities bond. There is a $9 million match that the state is holding to local $9 million that would allow us to modernize our science labs, our art labs, and classrooms all around this campus. And I want to let you know that Rusty and I are not going to stop banging on doors to Sacramento until that check is in our bank account. And that is going to be a big priority for us this year, because they have the resource. We're not the only community college that's doing this. We were part of an effort with the Community College League of California to say, release these funds, Governor Brown, we want it. The good news is, whatever you think about Governor Brown, his time is done. We will have a new governor to work with, and we're going to go bang on his or her door as soon as they're elected. So we are doing good work. The final thing is we have some advocacy to do on the funding formula. You may say it's approved, it's done. It is approved and it's done, but there are people coming after rural colleges saying, you know what, the rural colleges don't need that small rural allocation to open their doors. We need to distribute that throughout the state. So we are also going to be in Sacramento, elbows out, protecting what we know we need to serve our community. So that is about how we do development and advocacy on behalf of our college. The final goal, it's a simple one, but it's also a very important one and hard work for us, which is continuous improvement. We've done a lot of new things in the last few years. We brought on an incarcerated student program, international education, athletics, right? We're working into guided pathways. We need to, online education, our participation in open educational resources, an online education initiative. We need to continue these, deepen them, strengthen them, so that way they get institutionalized and hooked in here for our community. So I was in this theater almost a year ago. We are a proud partner for TEDx South Lake Tahoe, and I saw a speaker that really influenced me. His name was Terry Jones. He was the founder of Travelocity and Kayak.com. And I think he has some words of wisdom for us as we embark on this journey of taking on these big, challenging goals and deal with change and disruption. Let's hear what he has to say.
Finding disruption isn't easy. You have to think about risk. You have to say yes. You have to let go of old models. And I wish there was a key on the keyboard for innovation, but there isn't. And I know you think you have a tough job. You do. And when you add all these new technologies, it gets harder. But you don't have the toughest job. They have the toughest job. They're the great Walendas, the world's best wire act. You know what their mission statement is? You fall, you die. They have a tough job. You can do this. If you understand that change is inevitable, but success is optional. And the future is a foreign country, and they do things differently there. Thank you very much.
So just a few words to kind of leave you with. All right, we're rounding third and heading home on this presentation. This is always my favorite part of the presentation, is spotlighting a few of our amazing students. And every year it is difficult to choose. There are so many great students to spotlight, but I think these next few students have stories that are very unique and worth telling. So our first student is going to be no stranger to any of you. It's Juan Garcia. So Juan has been an LTCC student extraordinaire. He's been a student ambassador for us. He is off to UC Davis in fall. He's actually down in Davis. He came back today to be here. And I love his quote. I mean, faculty, are you touched by this? I am so touched by this in terms of he is motivated to come back and teach at LCC because how he's been impacted by all of you. I think it's really a great story. Juan is a first-generation student. He completed an associate degree for transfer in liberal studies. He's now majoring in history at UC Davis, and he wants to earn his teacher credential and hopefully teach at LTCC or in a K-12 someday. So I had lunch with Juan a few weeks ago before he left, and I said, you know, Juan, how are you feeling about Davis? Is there any support you need? Are you okay? Can you do this? And he said, I could do it because I'm Juan. And if you know Juan, that's pretty on point. I want to add one other, Juan, woo! I'm going to invite all these students up on the stage after, so you're going to have a chance to give them a real rousing, warm Coyote welcome. One final thing about Juan. Juan led the tour for our accreditation visiting team on the first day. And I remember sitting in the back of the tour. I think Michelle Risen, you were with me. I remember whispering or saying, "Oh, we got this," because Juan had them eating out of his hand, and he's just such a great ambassador for us. Speaking as ambassador, we have a new online student orientation video that was put together under the leadership of Julie Booth, and Juan, of course, is our welcome. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hi, I'm Juan, and I'll be your host for this orientation tour of Lake Tahoe Community College. This tour will provide you with an understanding of what to expect here at LTCC. We will be going over many of the questions that you may have, such as how to register, where to park, and even how to get involved. We'll also be mentioning a couple rules, and yes, there will be a quiz at the end, but think of it this way. The more you know, the better your experience will be here at LTCC. So just relax and enjoy the tour. Now, if you're ready to go, click on the next link below, and we're off.
You'll get to see Juan in a minute. This next student I had the pleasure of meeting last year, really through the president's honor roll. She was a 4.0 student, Claudia Manzano. I love her quote here is, no matter what your age is, you got to get a degree. This is a beautiful photo. There she is, and there she is with her mom. Her mom came out to celebrate her at that president's honor roll. Claudia is also a first-generation student. She was born in Mexico, and the first thing she did is she actually put her daughter through college at University of Nevada, Reno, and then she said, all right, it's my turn. I'm going to Lake Tahoe Community College. She graduated last year in 2 years. You know, that 2 years, 4.0, takes a lot of work. And her challenge to her family in her LTCC graduation video is, let's all go get our masters together, right? She is right now taking her Bachelor's of Science at Humboldt State online, and her goal is to become a lobbyist and really bring a spotlight to issues involving underrepresented groups and women in particular. Claudia, you are an all-star. We are so proud of you. Congratulations. All right, this next student couldn't join us here today, but she has a great story. You may remember her from graduation. This is Lindsay Lipp. Lindsay graduated from LTCC and then went on to become one of the first 4 graduates in the LTCC Sierra Nevada College partnership, right? She transferred to SNC with a 4.0 GPA, right? So another all-star. She was a business major. And her quote is, I knew I didn't want to keep doing minimum wage jobs, and education was the way to fix that. And then she later says, this program was the perfect fit. I knew I needed to stay in Tahoe with my family. I wanted to be here. This program offered me an opportunity to expand my degree. She got a bachelor's degree in global business management. And guess what? She just moved to Hawaii to start her law degree. She is off places because of all of you. So let's send her a little aloha. And you see, each of these students have very unique stories, right? But they're reflective of the many students that we serve on this campus. This next student story is very, very unique as well. So Jason Ream, who's been living the dream here, he is off to UC Davis via LTCC. But first, he actually got a bachelor's degree in evolutionary biology from UCLA. He got his BS from UCLA, came back, took some culinary courses and some wine studies courses at LTCC, and his quote is, "The caliber of instruction I got at LTCC was right on par with UCLA." And I believe it. I'd like to say we're a little better. So he came here. He got a job, an internship, working at an Apple Hill winery. There he is. He got a crush some grapes, and now he's starting this fall at UC Davis pursuing a master's degree in viticulture and enology. Pretty amazing, right? So to come via LTCC to a master's degree program. So Claudia, Juan, Jason, do you guys want to set your stuff down and come on up here so we could recognize you? So I shared that I had a few tricks up my sleeve. I had a different anonymous donor couple that I've struck up a great relationship with, and they gave me some resources. They said, "Jeff, I want you to put these in the hands of where it's needed at your campus." And so we're sending each of you off with an additional $500 scholarship on your degree. Congratulations. Congratulations. Here, show Pat your check. Show her your check. Well, we'll get them later. All right, pretty amazing, right? And these are just 3 or 4 great students. There's so many stories like this. It's always very difficult to choose. But as you see, we're serving students at all different levels. Our students are off to all different places, and it's because of the work and the support of all of you. So I want to talk to you about a paradigm shift, right? We introduced the concept of paradigm shift previously to really help close this. First and foremost, I want to honor the 40-plus year history of this college, right? We've done some great and amazing work to get here. We have a really, really good college. But again, we could be great. We could be exceptional. We could be one of the best colleges in the nation. And we must be for our students and for our community. Our students, they put our faith in us, they put their trust in us, and we need to deliver for them. We are their pathway to social and economic mobility. It is a moral imperative for us to do this. For a long time, it was said that some of our students aren't prepared for higher education. Yeah, we accept the top 100% of students. But I would contend to you that we need to really blow up that paradigm and recognize that sometimes community colleges aren't prepared for today's students. Our systems are not aligned to serve our students as well as they could be. We're doing great things. We're disrupting all stuff around us, but we can do better. And so I want to ask you to join me and think about how are we going to improve our systems for students? And I believe the answer lies in owning it and solving it. We need to own it and solve it. Own it, solve it, own it, solve it. Own it, solve it. Those of you that were there last Friday, no. Own it, solve it. Own it, solve it. And that's my address. Please join me in an amazing year on behalf of our students and community. Thank you for being here today.